Between April of 2015 and January of 2016, former waitress and aspiring model Abigail Lee Kemp was involved in a multi-state crime spree along with 3 accomplices. They were identified as Louis Jones III along with brothers Larry and Michael Gilmore. The group carried out heists at 6 jewelry stores in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and North Carolina, stealing valuables estimated at over $4 million. After the first robbery, the 3 men began training Kemp, who was at the time in her early 20s, to carry out heists on her own. At the Gilmore's Atlanta window tint shop, the brothers and Jones instructed Kemp how to handle a gun, restrain employees, and what items to pilfer. The men were fully in charge of planning, as they decided on the dates and locations as well as the disguises that Kemp would wear. The woman's MO typically involved her entering a jewelry store with a firearm in hand as her accomplices handled surveillance and security outside. The model forced the employees to the back of the store, zip-tied them, and then stole items from the display cases. Throughout the robbery, she maintained communication with the men using an earpiece. Inexplicably, in spite of the group's extensive preparations, Kemp entered several stores unmasked. The FBI released surveillance footage of the model as she calmly raided the stores, resulting in a total breakdown of the operation. Tipsters provided law enforcement with information that led to the arrest of Kemp and her accomplices. The Georgia model, who became the face of the jewelry heists in the media, testified against her co-conspirators in exchange for a lighter sentence. In January of 2017, she was given 10 years behind bars for conspiracy, interfering with commerce by robbery, and using a firearm during a crime of violence. Jones and the Gilmore brothers each received a sentence of 32 years and a day in federal prison. Number 7. Sydney Compton. In April of 2021, a woman was arrested in Miami-Dade County, Florida, after investigators found that she'd drugged and robbed multiple men. One incident had occurred in August of 2019 when an unnamed victim had met Sydney Compton at a rooftop bar called Sugar in Miami's Brickell section. They went back to the victim's home where Compton, who was at the time in her early 20s, made him several drinks. When they headed to the bedroom, the man fell into a deep sleep. Upon awakening, he noticed that his Rolex and $2,000 in cash had been stolen. Compton was linked to another similar incident in which she drugged and robbed a man of nearly $100,000 worth of watches, jewelry, and cash. In that incident, she was reportedly caught on video making the sedative-laced drinks and then on surveillance cameras in the lobby as she was leaving with a large bag. Compton evaded capture for nearly 2 years, but was ultimately tracked down and arrested on charges of first-degree grand theft as she bonded out of Turner Kilford Knight Correctional Center in mid-April of 2021. She refused to speak to the press. Compton's boyfriend at the time described her as a nice person and a tourist. The man maintained that she was innocent, stating, "It's just a misunderstanding. She's an aspiring model." Number 6. Amy Spencer. During a hearing at London's High Court held in February of 2024, English authorities renewed a temporary injunction against an OnlyFans model and her accountant. Amy Spencer and Dr. Robert Milton had allegedly threatened to publish information about officials working for His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, or the HMRC, as they were investigating one of Spencer's companies. A lawyer representing HMRC reported that Spencer and her advisor failed to explain how the model owed only £3,000 in unpaid taxes fits with her receipt of the equivalent of £404,225.40 from her OnlyFans activities between November 2018 and March 2021. During their communications with officials involved in the investigation, Spencer and Milton reportedly threatened to video record them when serving papers or attending court, to obtain photos to identify them publicly on a website targeting them, and to get CCTV images of them. The personal information would be published online along with false and serious allegations about HMRC's alleged mistreatment of the model. Spencer's followers, which numbered over 1 million on Instagram alone, were also allegedly encouraged to take action against the officials. During one of his threats against tax authorities, Milton was quoted as saying, "Please seek to do the worst that you possibly can to ourselves and Miss Spencer, and let us see who is the last man standing." The accountant had exhibited similar behavior in the past in connection to another of his clients, a company identified as YCX. Milton had threatened to employ Balkans-based agents to carry out surveillance on those investigating the company's tax records. The injunction, successfully obtained by HMRC in the Spencer case, not only prevented her and Milton from releasing sensitive information, but also forced them to disclose what details they'd already shared, and with whom the duo denied any responsibility for the threats, claiming that they'd been independently carried out by Spencer's followers. The case was ongoing as of the latest updates. Number 5. Cat Todd. In 2022, the mugshot of adult model Cat Todd went viral after she was arrested for theft at a Louis Vuitton shop. In the photo, the face and neck tattooed 22-year-old put on a coy smile as she looked piercingly into the camera. Droves of online admirers subsequently asked the model, based in Houston, Texas, to steal their hearts. Todd spoke to the Daily Star in the aftermath and revealed that she'd been swarmed by officers after leaving the designer's store and heading towards her BMW. She was reportedly handcuffed and held in a cell for 2 days, but claimed that the incident had been a misunderstanding. Todd claimed she'd purchased the charm for her Louis Vuitton bag. She went on to recount that because she was under the influence of Xanax, she accidentally left with both the display charm and the one which the shopkeepers had boxed for her. Todd admitted that she enjoyed the reactions to her mugshot and even had t-shirts made with the image of which she said, "I think I definitely looked mischievous, up to no good." The young woman told the media outlet that she had more than enough money to spend on accessories and had no need to steal them. Todd reportedly went from a cam model, performing solo and scenes with other women, to running her own cam business called Lucid Angels LLC. Todd noted that she provided a house for other models to stream from, adding, "My girls go to college, they go to work, they have very strict families, some of them are only 18 and still live at home, so I provide a safe place for them to do something like that without it going on OnlyFans." Number 8. Amy Enright. After she was given vouchers to take part in a modeling shoot, 25-year-old English woman Amy Enright went to Manchester area studio on August the 5th of 2020. She had a child in her care when she showed up for the shoot. Staff struggled to work with Enright as she reportedly went in and out of her changing room repeatedly. She became severely intoxicated to the extent that she couldn't stand upright for photos, and a stylist was unable to do her hair and makeup. Enright was asked to leave the studio roughly 10 minutes after she'd arrived, and staff called the police out of concern for the child in her care. Officers encountered Enright in Stevenson Square. By then, she was extremely unsteady on her feet and unable to speak coherently, giving law enforcement letters instead of numbers when they asked for her phone number. Further attesting to her state of confusion was the fact that she pointed to the complete opposite direction of where the studio was when the police asked her where she'd been. Inside her bag, officers found a half-empty bottle of vodka. The minor in her care was returned to relatives unharmed. Enright sobbed as she admitted to being drunk in charge of a child at Manchester Magistrates Court in November of 2020. Her defense lawyer stated she's very introverted and has no friends and doesn't go out, and she made a mistake by having alcohol. The representative told the court that Enright suffered from panic attacks and severe anxiety, adding that she didn't usually consume alcohol and that she'd been sipping vodka since breakfast on the day in question because she was nervous about the shoot. Enright was ultimately fined £120 and ordered to pay £119 in costs and surcharges. Number 3. Sha Herman and Jordan. On May the 9th of 2024, an officer of the Metro Nashville Police Department in Tennessee was fired after he appeared in an OnlyFans fake traffic stop video. Police discovered the clip titled, "Can't Believe He Didn't Arrest Me," on the OnlyFans page of a model only identified as Jordan. It was recorded on the evening of April the 26th in a warehouse area parking lot, and it featured on-duty officer Sha Herman. The premise of the skit was that Jordan was going to get out of a ticket by exposing herself to the officer. The clip showed Herman approaching her window, identifying himself as Officer Johnson of PD, and asking to see her license and registration. Jordan offered to let him touch her breasts in exchange. In the moments that followed, Herman reached into the car and groped both her breasts, then grabbed his privates through his pants. He told the woman that he would let her off with a warning and walked away. Herman's face was at no point exposed, but his Metro Nashville police department patch was briefly visible, it was sufficient for the officer to be identified and consequently terminated. In the aftermath, an online user claiming to be Jordan on Reddit wrote in a post related to the incident, "For context, since it was me, it was a stunt and totally consensual and private property, etc. The fact they fired him is stupid." Herman was not only dismissed, as according to updates from mid-June of 2024, he was charged with felony official misconduct. Today's topic was requested by Sean Delap 8587 and Malat Silong Wayne 5866. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Devan Serper. 29-year-old model Devan Serper was arrested by Louisiana law enforcement in early July of 2014 in connection to a shooting in Morgan City. The incident had occurred on June the 27th, and although no injuries were reported, 2 vehicles and an Oak Street residence were damaged. Serper was charged with aggravated criminal damage to property and illegal use of a weapon. She was taken into custody by the Morgan City Police Department. During booking procedures, Serper reportedly removed her clothes and then exposed her privates to a male correctional officer. Her reason for doing so wasn't clear, beyond speculation that she was somehow trying to seduce her way out of being locked up. The effort failed and resulted in the model being additionally charged with obscenity. Number 1. Monique Agostino. Instagram model Monique Agostino was involved in a string of break-ins in the fall of 2018 on the North Shore of Sydney, Australia. Agostino, who was at the time in her early 20s, primarily acted as the getaway driver for a group of teens who'd targeted a pizza restaurant, a convenience store, and a cafe, among others. The model was believed to have been directly involved in at least one of the break-ins. On November the 6th, she was captured on CCTV using a chisel to pry open the door to the Pound of Pizza restaurant in Killarney Heights. Agostino was arrested, and aside from the burglaries, she was convicted on several other counts stemming from unrelated incidents that included possessing a knife in a Target, shoplifting, and drug possession. Once news of the model's legal trouble started circulating on social media, commenters found her arrest ironically fitting, considering that she at one point posted images cosplaying as Catwoman, a skillful comic book thief. Agostino was given a 2-year sentence with a minimum of 18 months behind bars. She did her time at Silverwater Women's Correctional Centre, one of Australia's toughest women's prisons. She worked as a real estate agent after she was released on bail in 2020, but eventually lost her license. Agostino began abusing drugs, which caused her life to spiral out of control, and she eventually resumed her criminal activity. In May of 2023, just 3 years after her incarceration, Agostino was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment with a 5-month non-parole period. The decision followed Agostino pleading guilty to a plethora of charges. They included possessing someone else's ID to commit fraud, larceny, drug possession, driving under the influence of drugs, possessing goods suspected of being stolen, and driving an unregistered, uninsured car while disqualified. At the time of her latest arrest, the woman admitted that she used amphetamines on a weekly basis. Her legal aid lawyer was quoted as telling Sydney's Sutherland local court, "If you speak to her directly, you'd be impressed. She's an intelligent individual who has used her abilities for criminal reasons instead of constructive reasons. That's not to say it will always be that way." In August of 2023, Agostino won an appeal to serve the remainder of her sentence in the community while under supervision. Thanks for watching. Would you rather make money by mainly using your body or your mind? Let us know in the comments section below.